Franchises. The final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Retrospective. Its continuing mission? To seek out and examine the dumbest things in fictional franchises. To boldly go where no one has gone before. Werezilla's Log, Stardate 51822014. A franchise that has gone through several changes throughout the years, originally starting as a low-budget show from the 60s that was effectively a traveling on the open frontier type show in space. And as the franchise progressed, its grasp of science may have become looser and less plausible with each passing series. It also changed in its method of storytelling, from traveling into the unknown to living in a larger galaxy. Though, despite the above statement, Star Trek preferred its smaller and more political conflicts between groups, rather than huge galaxy-spanning threats. Most of the time. While the largest threat to the Star Trek universe was probably the Dominion from DS9, the one that changed the series forever, bringing it into the modern era, was the Borg. Not a conquering force in a traditional sense, rather they are a cybernetic hive mind that forcibly assimilates sentient beings into their collective with no semblance of individuality. And as for the lives that were forever changed thanks to the Borg, we have today's topic to explore just that. Not really a game per se, more like an interactive movie. Before we had the likes of Heavy Rain, we had Star Trek Borg. We open with a ship en route to join a Starfleet armada to defend against a Borg attack, the one from First Contact to be exact. But it seems the ship's captain has ordered all non-essential personnel off the ship before the battle, which includes the player character Cadet Furlong. Or Cadet Viewpoint, as he's affectionately known by, since the game is entirely in first-person perspective. Of course, getting rid of all the ship's red shirts means that this vessel is going into battle with about, maybe 10 people. You really didn't think this through. However, before Furlong gets the opportunity to leave, everybody's favorite reality warper, Q, shows up with his own brand of, let's call it encouragement.
Perhaps I should introduce myself. I imagine you've heard of me, though, Q. It's short for Q. It was I, you know, who introduced Picard to the Borg, and it's because of me that 10 years ago the Borg came to Wolf 359 and found that fleet of ships and found your father and killed them all. At 0800 hours during the Battle of Wolf 359, the USS Righteous, such a noble name, Righteous, was hit by an unknown Borg weapons discharge and vaporized. Vaporized. Whew. No trace. Nothing to bury, nothing to mourn. The Borg took it all away from you in an instant.
Q! Seriously! This is so not helping the poor kid. It's here where Q gives Furlong a choice. Go back in time to stop the Borg from killing his father, or not. And if you pick the second option, the game just ends. Okay, that's kind of funny. So Q takes Furlong back to the Righteous during the Battle of Wolf 359, seeing just how the ship got destroyed. A Borg got on board and hacked into the ship's computer. On the bridge. And it didn't occur to anyone to just force it away from the console it was hacking. Needless to say, Q decides it would be better if Furlong took the security chief officer's place on the ship to give it a second chance. Q himself taking on the role of the ship's doctor.
3 hours, 4 at the most. We won't even be alive. Unless we're Borg.
Dr. Quint is testing the boundaries of the humanoid ability to maintain affection for him, which he thinks he's not worthy of. So what he does is he tries to make everyone dislike him.
Well, he's very good at that.
Just like Q did not realize he's in fact role-playing. After dealing with the invading Borg, some of their technology is uncovered in the... well, they call it the Computer Control Core, but it's rather obviously a redress of Voyager's Warp Core. In fact, all of the sets and costumes in this are reused from Voyager, despite taking place during the Next Generation Season 3 finale. The captain orders Furlong and his father to search the ship for the second Borg that might have snuck on during the first one's attack. They think they've cornered in one of the Jeffries tubes, which leads to one of the more cryptic choices in this whole thing.
Okay, one of us has to go, but somebody should stay in case he went through and doubled back. Whoa, 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 whoa. I said one of us, I didn't say you. You know, you may be head of security, but I do outrank you. Yeah, it's only by 3 weeks, but I think that would stand up in case of a court-martial. I'll tell you what.
Why is this a cryptic choice? Well, because if you pick either hand, he'll cheat and have the comm badge in the other, which will lead to him going outside into the hall and both of you getting assimilated. The correct choice? Hit the guy in the face, change the frequency of his phaser, and that will allow him to take out the second Borg when it ambushes you. Given that this is not shown to be a choice initially, talk about trial and error. Fortunately, any mistakes made by the player will just lead to Q resetting time for Furlong so he can make the right decision. Yeah, that actually does make me wonder, why is Q doing all of this? I mean, for all intents and purposes, Furlong is just a red shirt on a throwaway ship. Why pick him specifically to help?
Why? Because I can.
Maybe he's just trying to use his powers for good. No! I am not making that reference! I have self-control! With a sensor swiped from the Borg, Furlong, his father, the captain, and Ensign Targus try to figure out if it will help them get the tech unhooked from the computer control room.
I'm just not getting anything useful from it. Maybe if we hooked it into the ship's computer and had it analyzed.
Yeah, you don't need me to tell you that's a terrible idea, and anyone who makes that choice deserves all the punishment they get. Instead, they decide to plug it into Targus' cybernetics.
Borg implant is getting its orders from the Borg Collective. How do we jam the signals, Targus?
Shields. Modulate mutations. 0.6525 normal. Now!
Do it!
Holy crap, I didn't think that would work. I was expecting...
We are... Resistances! You will be assimilated!
Never mind. Furlong rips the implants off, at least that's the decision that doesn't kill or lobotomize Targus, which despite the shock does not kill him. See, the security offer he's replacing, Lieutenant Sprint, is something called a Bajani, a species they made up for this game, which is more resilient to pain. I'm not sure why they felt the need to do that since Q is pressing the replay button for Furlong throughout the game. Furlong, his father, and Targus beam onto the Borg cube in order to find an alternate way of getting the tech off the ship, and here is where the choices and Q's reset button get brilliant, but also carried away. Our heroes get the info to access the tech, but apparently only a living Borg can properly access it. So here's what has to be done. Furlong has to put himself in a trance so he can get partially assimilated, and then he can access the tech. And while all this is going on, I can't help but ask, what's gonna happen when the original Sprint gets his body back and finds he's part Borg? Is he not gonna know what happened, or is he a prisoner in his own body while Furlong is in the driver's seat? So the crew gets some time to rest before the battle begins proper, which gives Q the chance to talk to the ship's therapist.
You desperately want to be liked.
If I wanted to be liked, all I'd have to do is snap my fingers, and I'd be liked. I'm an omnipotent being masquerading as Dr. Quint. Whatever I want to happen, happens.
Interesting fantasy. All right, let's play that through. Then why don't you?
Why don't I what?
Make everyone like you.
Because I don't want to!
No, because you want them to like you of their own free will. And phenomenologically speaking, you can't force them to do something of their own free will.
Sophistry, Baraka.
Truth, Quint. Let me give you some free advice. If you want to be liked, try making yourself likable.
Yeah. He just wants to be liked. He just wants friend. No! I am still not doing that, and you're not gonna make me! Though on a side note, this Baraka guy is way more competent of a ship's therapist than Troy ever was. So the Battle of Wolf 359 happens proper, and this time Furlong is able to disable a boarding drone and save the ship from being destroyed. Q then reveals himself and Furlong to the crew, and to preserve the timeline, sends the Righteous into the present, so it will still have disappeared at Wolf 359.
I'm picking up a vessel 34 Mark 216, heading on a course for Earth. It's the Borg.
What are your orders, sir?
We're a Starfleet ship in Federation space. We may be 10 years behind the times, but I bet we know a thing or two more about the Borg than anyone else in this time. Lay in a pursuit course.
I think I'm going to enjoy getting to know you, Cadet Furlong.
What about Furlong's past? Was that changed in any way? Is he still a Starfleet cadet? Did Q compensate for that in any way? Is the original Sprint still dead? I'm not 100% certain that you restored the timeline properly. Star Trek Borg is very much a niche product. It's not really a game in the sense there's actual gameplay, more like going through DVD extras as an episode plays. Some of the correct decisions are rather ridiculous or convoluted, so you won't be able to think of them the first time around. And the fact that there is only one path, one correct decision, will turn a lot of people off. Looking at this as an episode of the TV show, however, it holds up a lot better. Q is at his best here, trolling the ship with the crew and having a blast. All for the sake of a cadet who wanted to undo his father's death. How nice of him. Still not doing it! I mean, at this point, if I did, you'd think I'm some kind of one-trick pony. God damn it! The props, the sets, and the costumes are wrong for the era, but it's all an aesthetic thing. They function the same as they would before. And the acting is exactly what you expect from minor cast members on the show throughout the years. Some aren't very good, while others are passable. And the camaraderie between Furlong, his father, and Targus works for the plot. Indeed, it does feel like a Lower Deck episode, and if it's seen as one of those, you won't be disappointed. Captain Werezilla, we've been caught in a tractor beam! What tractor beam?
We are the Borg. Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Your culture will adapt to service us. Resistance is futile.